cost of living in San Cristobal, Mexico. Hey, welcome to the video where the goal is very simple to answer that question for you based on my experience living in San Cristobal, Mexico. Now, I want to let you know that I'm going to cover the rent and food and drink prices, drinks meaning coffee and or water. That is pretty much it. I'm not really going to go into alcohol, things of that nature, because I don't, drink a ton of alcohol, so I don't spend a lot of money in that avenue. And so with that being said, let's dive right in. The cost of rent, in my experience living in San Cristobal, Mexico, is actually quite low. It's one of the lower costs of rent that I've had anywhere that I've been. Now, I want to give you an example, and I'm going to compare some of this to places like Playa del Carmen, Cancun, and or Tulum when it comes to Mexico. So, the San Cristobal rent, I paid for 1 month, 200 Canadian dollars rent. Now, keep in mind I had a roommate. So we split a 2-bedroom place for 400 Canadian, 200 for him, 200 for me. My roommate at the time came to San Cristobal, and what he was doing is he was trying to find a place, and I'll share with you more details on how to find a place because it's a little bit tricky here since many people don't actually list signs, the same places are available for rent. So it's almost like tricky to find a place, but not to worry, I'll share with you how to do that. But anyway, my current roommate, as I'm filming this video, what he was doing is he came here, he was looking for a place, and he was eventually able to find a place, and we paid $400, like I said, for 1 month. This was on a month-to-month basis. For this specific place, we didn't even have to pay a damage deposit or anything, so we basically paid 200 Canadian each for the entire month. This included everything, including our electricity, gas, etc. Now, with that said, you can find some places that are a little bit more expensive, but you can also find places that are less. And I want to share with you, as I've ventured, spending time in San Cristobal, I'm trying to find different places. So I've come across 2-bedroom places that are even as low as 100 Canadian dollars per person. So 200 for 2 people. Now, if you will spend your time in San Cristobal and you want to rent on a monthly basis, I would highly suggest that what you do is you book a place for maybe a couple days or a couple nights on something like Airbnb, or if you want to go to hotels or even hostels, if you're someone who wants to do that, you can do that. And then the way that you find places here is because people don't list places for rent here. You hardly see any signs. You just go about your day, walk around, and randomly ask people. So the way I was able to find a place here in San Cristobal for 200, this actually is a 3-bedroom place for 200 total. It's crazy. So 200 Canadian, that is, okay? When I say 200, in my terms, I'm talking Canadian dollars. So if you translate that to US dollar, it's gonna be even less. Now, I found this place. This is a 3-bedroom place for 200 Canadian dollars for the entire month. And with this place, it's literally 100 per person if you live with 2 people. If you live with 3 people, well then you divide 200 divided by 3, and it's crazy. But with that said, that is the lowest, in terms of rent I found here. The average you can expect to probably pay between 200 per person to at most 300 per person, okay? So I want to let you know that you can definitely find rent here that is super, super cheap. If you're coming from Canada, US, or UK, it's going to be very cheap for you. Obviously, it's not necessarily cheap for the locals, but for you coming here, you can find great places if you just ask around, okay? Now, my rent here, like I said, 1 month I paid 200, and then I found a place for 100 Canadian per month. Now, again, this is with a roommate, okay? So if you're going to find a place by yourself, you can probably get a single, how would I say, like a studio or even a 1-bedroom place for maybe 150 to 200. You can definitely find that, but you'll have to ask around and go looking. At most, on the high end, you'll pay 300 to 400 Canadian dollars. That is if you don't book it through Airbnb. If you book through Airbnb, you're probably going to pay more because most of the Airbnb listings are definitely on there for more. And so that is why I suggest, if you want the best rates for your rent, just book an Airbnb for a couple days, maybe 3, 4, 5 days, and or a hostel or a hotel, whatever works for you. And then from there, go around, spend 1 or 2 days, go around the city, ask a bunch of people, and you'll find someone who has a place available for rent, and you'll find an amazing deal if you do that, okay? So that's how I recommend that you try to find a place once you get here for a longer term stay at the best possible price. Now, very quickly, I'll recap. You can probably get your rent for anywhere between $200 to $300 Canadian per month, but it could also be as low as 100 Canadian per month, okay? Now, let's move on from the rent to food. I want to give you a bit of a quick comparison. When I was living in Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, I was spending about an average of 20 Canadian dollars per day on things like food, coffee, water, okay? Now, in San Cristobal, the same amount of food, coffee, water, I'm spending about 15 Canadian dollars. So it's about $5 Canadian less overall for the food, coffee, everything combined. It's pretty tricky to say, that it's like, I would say it's pretty tricky to say what things are less, but what I would say overall, everything feels to be about 10 to at most 15% less in terms of the food and drinks in San Cristobal compared to places like Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, okay? So in my experience, if you have, let's say, for example, tacos, you can find tacos for maybe 5 peso a taco less in San Cristobal as compared to Cancun, Tulum, Mexico. And again, it all depends on where you go. You can find meals here in San Cristobal at a restaurant for, let's say, anywhere between 4 to 7 Canadian dollars. The same meal, let's say in Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, would be anywhere between maybe 5 to 8 or 5 to 9. So it's a little bit more in those areas, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, compared to here. But again, overall, I would say about 10% less. I think if I say 15% less on food and drinks, it's being a little bit generous. But 10% I think is a good mark to give you an idea of what the cost of living is in terms of your food and beverages here. Now, if you want to cook at home, obviously you can buy a little bit more stuff bulk at the grocery store or even at the local markets. That's going to give you the best rates, and then you can cook more in your apartment or house wherever you rent. And obviously your food can probably be even as low as maybe 10 Canadian dollars per day. And if you're going to drink coffee at home or, whatever other things you might drink, obviously it's going to be less if you buy it more in bulk at the store or at the market. But the rate I'm giving you of 15 a day is I cook a little bit, and I usually will eat out once to twice a day. And I will also have 2 to maybe 3 coffees a day or coffee-like beverages a day that I usually have at cafes where I'm doing my work, okay? So that's what I'm giving you with regards to me spending about 15 Canadian dollars a day. And keep in mind that you can have it less, but you could totally also have it a little bit more. For me, I don't go to, restaurants that are maybe like double that, because you can definitely find restaurants that are double. I just don't really see any point in, if I can get like delicious, nutritious food for $3 or $4 versus spending 15, I'll go for 3 or 4. And that's just personally me, because I like to put my money to other places, other experiences, things that I feel are like better use of my money, let's say, if it's the same type of food. Obviously, you want to get the best quality food possible. But anyway, I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money. You can do what you want. Let me give you a quick recap. For everything with rent to food here in San Cristobal, the total in Canadian dollars is going to be anywhere between 600 to at most 750 Canadian dollars per month, okay? Now that is, again, with your rent being about 200 to 300 Canadian dollars. In my, experience, I'm saying my rent is 200 Canadian, and then I'm saying that I spend about 150 Canadian every single week on things like groceries, coffee-like drinks, okay? So at 150 Canadian a week, I'd be at 600 total on the month in terms of my groceries, beverages, etc. And then 200 on top of that, it would be 800, okay? So it's a little bit more than what I said initially with the total, but if you get your rent down to 100, then obviously you have more room with your, food and drinks. If you cook a little bit more at home, or you make even coffee at home, then obviously you can really bring that down to, for sure, 100 a week, if not less, okay? So for sure you can do it for anywhere between 500 to, let's say, 750, at the high end 800. Obviously you can do it for more, but you can definitely do 500 to 750 Canadian per month living in San Cristobal, Mexico. And I would say overall, if I compare San Cristobal, Mexico to a place like Tulum, Playa del Carmen, and Cancun in terms of the cost of living, it is at least 10 to 15% less here in San Cristobal. And the rent is the biggest thing that's actually the lowest. So I find the rent, it's much easier to find rent that is lower here than it is in, to find rent for, like, it's pretty tricky to find rent for the same price in places like Cancun, Playa del Carmen, or Tulum compared to here. So overall here, the rent is the one like 20 to 25% less maybe. And then the food is 10 to 15% less, give or take, okay? So with that being said, I hope it gives you a bit of an idea. I'm gonna stop rambling. And with that said, you get a better idea of what the cost of living is like in San Cristobal, Mexico. I encourage you to come here, check out this city, whether it's for a week, couple months, couple years, whatever you want to do. Of course, it's your choice, but I encourage you to go check it out. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Any thoughts or questions you have, please leave them in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future fitness, so you don't miss future travel videos that I produce for you. I do have a fitness channel. In my bio and in the description, I'll put a link for you. You can go check out my fitness channel as well if you want to get fit. And I have fitness plans and recipes as well. Since I said fitness channel, you can also go check them out. I'm going to have links in description. You can go check it out. And with that being said, that's for you if you want to get healthy and fit from anywhere. So feel free to check that out. I appreciate you supporting me in all the ways that you do. And I have also more videos on Mexico and even Colombia. So you can go to the channel playlists, pick the desired playlist that you want, look at the videos and watch any videos that you're interested in. Places in Colombia like Bogota, Medellin, Santa Marta, if you want to know if they're safe to go there or not, if you want to know what the cost of living is like in those places, feel free to go check out the Colombia playlist, watch those videos. And if you're curious on more places in Mexico like Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, whether you want to know if it's safe and the cost of living in those places, again, I already have videos on the channel. Just select the Mexico playlist and go ahead and check them out. And with that being said, thanks for supporting me. I appreciate you. Stay blessed, and let's get these gains. Let's go.